Ark is a giant skeleton that is reincarnated into a video game world with the strongest abilities known to man. He has the legendary holy armor along with a sword that summons dragon slashes at his command. His powers exceeded anything he could imagine, and he had the power of multiple classes rather than a single character's. But his goal in life wasn't to become the strongest warrior, no. In fact, it was a tale of love, one where he finds the hottest elf girl in the lands and tries to impress her with his Redditor pickup lines. And because this is an isekai, this somehow works. But before he sets off on this adventure, he wonders how he ended up in this world, and tests out the strength of his abilities. With a single fell swoop, Ark casts his wyvern slash towards the trees, obliterating them with his overpowered skill. But his magic surpasses his physical strength, and his fire spell burns the trees before him. It becomes clear to him that he's inside his favorite game, but that he's managed to unlock all of the overpowered skills rather than a single one. His belly interrupts his happiness and reminds him that he's already starving, so he decides to teleport into the town to get food before starving. The teleportation sends him off the cliff because he's never been to the town, so he uses his dimensional move ability to fly around the forest. Using all this mana drains his water points, so as he goes to a river to drink water, he takes one look at the water and understands that he's a skeleton and realizes that everyone will want to execute him if they see his face. Ark decides to be careful and heads into the town where the smell of the great food enchants him. The prices are way out of his league because he's a brokey.
You're broke!
Ark searches around the alley for a way to make money because all good things happen inside alleys. He sees a mysterious cloaked woman arguing with a random man, telling the strange man that she's paid him double but he still hasn't produced information. The elf woman walks away, and Ark is introduced to the tsundere love interest of his life. He is determined to feel those pointy ears filling up inside his skeleton holes.
What do you mean by that?
And searches for her in the Adventurers Guild. The guild master rejects his desperate requests and informs him that he must kill various monsters before getting any money or information. The guild master feels bad that such a mighty knight has to do these quests and believes that he's doing all of this to find the mother of his sick child. Little did they know that the only thing noble about this knight is how he will royally f the elf with his Excalibur. In the middle of the forest, Ark kills all the boars to fulfill the quest and earn enough money for food. His adventures continue, and he meets a group of bandits that are slaying some random soldiers. The only two that are left are two girls holding onto each other of fear. Isekai plot begins to develop because of course it does. Ark is the only skeleton in this world, and will not let another person get a bone, so he builds up his courage to fight them. As the bones are about to be given, Ark teleports behind with his incredible speed, and slashes towards them after activating his super ability and slashing him in half. The bandits realize the situation they're in and run away for their lives, so he summons his wyvern slash once more and ends them in their place. The girls are crying, but thank Ark for saving them. The maid introduces the girl, telling him that she's from the royal family and that she's willing to take his bone as a reward.
What do you mean by that?
Ark ignores her advances because he wants some of the elf plot, and decides to burn off the bandits to show off his magical powers. He quickly becomes a millionaire top G by taking Andrew Tate's advice, and loads up their expensive loot on the horse. The girl comes and tells him that she wants him to load up her the girl tells him that she wants to ride his giant horse. Never mind, I give up. Let's just spam Rip Top G in the comments because he's still behind the bars. The brokies will never expect it. They ride the horses back home, and the girl thinks that he's massive. At the guild, the master is impressed by the amount of gold he's been able to gather, and hands him a stone that can be transformed into a strong weapon. Along with the license, the master also gives him a list of leads they've gathered on the elf girl, and how to gain more money. With his newfound fortune, he heads off into his room for the night and enjoys the feast that he's been able to get. He eats the big long meat after stroking it in his hand and takes a big sip of white creamy milk. Ark is glad that he's going to give this experience to the elf girl. That he's glad that he's been able to come to this world where he's powerful. Definitely what I meant.
Stop it. Get some help.
The following morning, Ark heads into a village after taking a new easygoing quest for money. Inside the village, he introduces himself to the girl that he will be helping during this quest. Her name is Marka, and Ark will be helping her pick out herbs. As they travel inside the woods, Ark questions why Marka needed to hire him for the mission, and she tells him that she was doing this behind her mom's back because her father died last year. All Marka wanted to do was make her mom happy, and this caused Ark to want to help her more. They continue picking herbs, but Ark hears a rustling in the bushes that causes him to tell Marka to stand back. However, their enemy is a small Ninetales that's in pain, and Marka feels bad for it. Ark picks up the fox and heals it, allowing it to be happy once again. The fox follows Ark around, and he decides to name it Ponta. Inside the village, a man warns the rest of the villagers that they need to flee from the forest before they're all devoured by the monsters running in the wild. Marka's mother comes back home, hearing from the chief that her daughter had entered the forest when there's dangerous monsters roaming around. As their search continues, they finally stumble onto a white wisteria tree, and Marka is happy to find it in full bloom. Before she knows it, however, a giant lizard creature appears from behind her and is ready to slash her down. Ark vanishes towards her to rescue her, and the giant lizard shoots poison fog. Ark continues dodging from this giant basilisk, but it launches its claw attack that he barely manages to parry with his sword. He continues vanishing and disappearing even as the lizard's tongue continues attacking him. He gets cornered by the basilisk and barely survives the onslaught of blows coming towards him. The basilisk backs off and begins moving in a way that indicates it will unleash its ultimate ability. The magical energy unleashes, turning everything in its path into stone, but Ark manages to barely dodge with his holy shield. This angers the basilisk, causing it to launch an onslaught of attacks towards him and continues cornering him. The basilisk launches a poisonous fog once again that is blocked by Ark. As it loses its footing, Ark sees this as his opportunity to finally strike it down, activating a magical spell underneath, and releasing his judgment ability to slash it down in a single blow. Even he is surprised by how powerful he is, and Marka congratulates him for defeating the basilisk. Something is off, however, and Ark sees a ring that is wrapped around the giant lizard. It disappears into the air before him, and he wonders what could have been causing the problem. A giant boar appears before them, and Ark decides that he will kill it as a gift for the villagers to eat tonight. At the village, Marka's mom, Siona, sees her and sounds angry, but she runs towards her daughter and hugs her while breaking into tears. She tells her that she's glad that she was safe, but asks her why she left the village even though she's always warned her. Marka shows her the herbs she gathered for her, and Ark comes to apologize for being careless and taking her out, pleading that she should be easy on her daughter. Siona tells him that he can come over for dinner so that she can lick the meat off his bone. After Siona eats the best dinner of her life, Marka and her sister call him their new dad and give him a gift before he goes to get milk like their other dad.
Oh, here we go again.
That same night, a group of soldiers battle against a similar basilisk that Ark battled. Their scout informs their leader that more than 40 of their soldiers had died fighting that monster. But what's more surprising is that they found another basilisk that appeared to have been destroyed by a single blow. A few weeks pass, and Ark is still searching for the elf that took his breath away. He enters a cave where he heard bandits had kidnapped elves, and finds a pile of gold piled up for him, but doesn't find the elves that were captured. Ark leaves with his newfound treasure, going to head to town for the meal, but the elf finally appears and is ready to destroy him. She slashes towards him, ready to murder him in his spot, but he narrowly dodges her attacks. Her cloak reveals her face, and he realizes that he's finally seen the love of his life again. Ark attempts to talk this out with her, but she calls him a bandit. As she prepares her final launch to end him, Ponta comes out, which stops her in her tracks. Mrs. Giant Plot asks him how he managed to befriend the Ninetales, and Ark tells her that he healed Ponta when it was injured. This causes the elf girl to apologize for thinking he was a bandit, and tells him that she came here to rescue the elves that were being hunted. But the elves are already gone, and Ark tells her that he destroyed all the bandits. She prepares to leave, but Ark tries to think of a way to develop this plot into a plot twist where he's twisting her plot.
Stop it. Get some help.
Sorry, I meant Ark tries to think of a way to work with her, but she denies him because he's just a human knight and runs away from him.
Mission failed. We'll get 'em next time.
While this encounter discourages him from being able to feel the plot of his life, he knows that no gamer can ever pass up the chance to help a beautiful elf and strengthens his resolve. The rest of his nights are spent wondering how he could ever find her again, but the hard bones in his body won't let him give up. In the next morning, he sets off to the elf forest where there could be a chance of finding her, but the Ninetales warns him that there's enemies around. An elf runs by, and a bandit captures her before showing her off to his leader. He stabs her in the leg, telling her to beg him for mercy, but even after she begs, he continues stabbing her. Ark sneaks around, seeing that those elves are being trapped behind a cell and their lives are being threatened. But just as he is about to act against this, Mrs. Giant Cannonballs launches in, destroying the men in her way. The bandits all gang up on her, but she slashes one of their arms and rushes forward to destroy the rest of the ones standing in front of her. She strikes fear into them, and continues running around until she slashes every single bandit in her way. The bandit leader stops her, telling her that he will kill the small elves if she continues resisting. He tells her that he will just examine her merchandise, and as isekai plot is about to develop, Ark flashes and launches the leader towards the tree, saving the elves and impressing the love of his life. After all of the bandits are completely destroyed, Mrs. Nuclear Missiles wonders how to find the key to free the kids, but Ark destroys the lock with his hand to free them. One of the kids, however, has a cursed collar attached to her that sucks her life away. She tells Ark that she wouldn't be able to destroy them, but Ark uses his magical abilities to free her from the curse and heals all of her wounds. Hot Elf Girl realizes that this guy is no ordinary knight, and wonders what else his bone can do to her in Sorry, I meant the damsel in distress begins falling in love with her knight in shining armor because this is a wholesome and family-friendly show. Ark continues to play with the kids to relieve them of the traumatic experience they just had, and Mrs. Giant Blaster introduces herself as Ariane. As he finally enjoys some alone time with her, a bird comes to warn her that their elf headquarters are being invaded, and Ariane asks him if she could hire him to help her. Ariane has never trusted anyone who isn't an elf in her entire life, but with the fact that he just saved her and those other elves, she decides that she will give him a chance and trust him. As they travel to the city, Ariane is impressed with Ark's ability to teleport without using an incantation, and they use his abilities to sneak into the city. Ariane tells him that they'll be meeting a lifelong friend of hers, Danka. The only thing that fills Ark's mind is both of them jumping on his bones because they'll be having fun with him in a family-friendly manner. However, a gloomy man appears and introduces himself as Danka, shattering all of his dreams in a single second. They go over their plans and Danka lets them know that he's located their base of operation. It happens to be in the center of town, so their only option is to invade during nighttime without any people around. Ark mysteriously leaves during the middle of the conversation to attend to some errands, and Danka questions Ariane if they can truly trust this knight. The mysterious errand that Ark has to attend is buying a feast with his gold and enjoying in an alley because he's a pathetic lonely loser that no one would want to eat with. Inside the hideout, 4 elf girls are fearful for their lives as a group of bandits have imprisoned them. During nightfall, Ariane and her group sneak around to get into the building, and they use Ark's teleportation to get on top of the building. Plot develops. A lot of plot develops. This is the perfect time for plot development. They enter the building and search around in the rooms, seeing that people were murdered in their sleep with a single blow. Ark's search continues, and he teleports into another room to find more dead bodies, but a ninja begins launching her attacks at him. The ninja sees the Ninetales following him, and apologizes for the misunderstanding because he's probably a good person after all. Before leaving, she informs him that there are 2 other elves that are captive in another building and disappears. Ark realizes that he completely forgot about the mission because his life mission is to now find that ninja girl as well. Ark regroups with the 2 elves and informs them of the locations of the captured elves and conceals the source of his information. A group of bandits interrupt their meeting, and Ariane torches them all in a single blow. They locate the group of kids and save them, teleporting away from the town with Ark's abilities. Their curse is broken again by Ark's abilities, and Ariane heads off with Ark to locate the final 2 elves and save them. In the distance, the ninja girl wishes to meet him again one day. Inside the Lord's manor, 2 elves are tied to a bed that are about to be isekai plotted. The ugly man rubs a white cream on the elf's belly, and she makes plot-filled noises. Outside the building, Ark continues teleporting throughout the air to reach the top of the manor, and attacks the guards that are defending at the top of the building. The rest of the soldiers in the manor search for him, but he hides in plain sight to avoid causing more casualties. A man comes to knock on the door of the owner, warning him that invaders are coming that want to get rid of him. As he says his last words, Ark and Ariane blow through the door, informing him that they're here to rescue the elves. They destroy the owner's plot-making abilities and save the girls. Ark investigates the room and finds hidden treasures, but the Lord is too busy getting the treatment he was hoping to give. As Ariane is ready to end this man by giving him the miserable fate he deserves. A group of soldiers enter the room to stop Ariane. Ark allows Ariane to handle them, and she takes off in a blaze of fire to burn all of the enemy forces standing before her. Ark has his hands busy taking the bandits' gold all to himself, but Ariane interrupts him and asks him what he's doing. Ark attempts to get out of this situation by telling her that he's draining their gold supply so that they would never be able to continue running this business. She buys his lie just like how Andrew Tate taught him to lie to women, and he gets to keep all the gold to buy a Bugatti because he's a top G and not a brokey. Ariane pays him for helping her, and he gladly accepts even if he already got all the gold because he's a ruthless top G. Because he drives in a Bugatti now instead of a horse, she asks him if he would like to come to her town later tonight and show her the bone of his sword. Ark realizes that his dream is finally about to come true, that he's finally able to achieve everything he's wanted since he came into this world. However, Ariane tells him that he would need to meet with her father before she can call him daddy, but this ruins all of Ark's plans. Ark can never show his face because she may turn her sword against him, but Ariane swears that she wouldn't do that to him. Ark wonders if this is truly the path he wants to take to stay with her, so he decides to finally reveal his true identity, and she asks him what happened to him. Ark tells her of his tear-jerking story, that he appeared in this land, without his original form and has been cursed beyond repair. Ariane sees this, and accepts him for who he is and will do anything in her power to help him. She extends her hand, formally introducing herself to him. He reintroduces himself once more, and shakes her hand. With only the moonlight shining on them, he wonders if he truly wants his fake curse to be broken, as this life is one that he's always wanted to live. Watch this next video. Till next time, my fellow legendary plot masters.